Chess fans, in this video we will look at the game between Vachier Lagrave with white against Anton Korobov with black, played at the Corsica Masters 2016. And this was a rapid game. We will have 11 training questions and hopefully we can learn a lot from this game. Vachier Lagrave plays e4, e6, d4, d5, the French defense, with the variation of knight c3, knight f6, e5, knight fd7, f4. c5, black wants to undermine white's center. Knight f3, knight c6, bishop e3, bishop e7. Queen d2 and a6. In this position here, training question number 1 on the French defense, white faces a decision. Which two principal setups can white play in this position? Pause your video and try to answer this training question. Okay, option number 1 here is to exchange this pawn, to slow black down a little bit and to castle long and then attack on the king side. So if white takes with the knight, white's plan would be to move the king out of the way, swing the queen over where she's active on both sides, block this pawn with the knight, who can then also have an active position in the attack, and then attack on the king side here. After a6, the other principled option is what Maxime Vachier Lagrave played. Bishop e2 with the plan to castle short, where white then attacks on the king side and black attacks on the queen side. Okay, black now played b5, and white again faces a decision between two principled continuations. Which ones are they? Question number 2. Okay, in this position here, option 1 is, again, to slow black down a little bit by playing a3. This is against the push of the black pawn to b4. And the game could continue bishop e7, castle, castle, knight to d1, queen b6, and c3. So the game is a little bit more balanced. Both sides have active plans, and white has played a little bit more solid on the queen side. After b5, however, white can also play a very sharp line and doubling down on the risk, and play short castle here, telling black, okay, you can play b4 if you want to, I'm not afraid. And in this line here, white is, so to speak, doubling down on the risk and playing a very sharp game. If black now attacks, in the worst scenario, black will steamroll white here on the queen side, and in the best scenario, black will overstretch a little bit. Anton Korobov accepts the challenge and does play b4. Other options could also be to castle first and to develop a little bit more further, but Anton Korobov says, okay, let's play this sharp line. Knight to d1, castle, c3, a5. Now, question number 3. With which maneuver can white activate his bad knight on d1? Pause your video and try to find a way to activate this knight. Okay, white can play bishop f2 with the plan to activate the knight by moving it to the square e3. And this is what MVL played as well. Black continued a4. Again, black in this position here could also develop some pieces first, but black wants to push those pawns, and maybe this is the point where black could overstretch just a little bit. Okay, white now exchanges here the pawns and says, okay, I'm gonna slow those pawns down a little bit. and activates the knight to e3. Black continues its attack, and queen a5. White swings the rook in on the half-open file. And in this position here, black is happy to exchange some pieces and play with a potentially passed pawn on c5, or after exchanging this pawn here on d5 as well. White does exchange the queens here, and after rook a5, question number 4. How can white now, after the queens have been exchanged, how can white deal with black's pawn structure and the threat of black generating a protected passed pawn? Pause your video and find a good plan for white. Okay. White or MVL decided to deal with this pawn structure by playing d takes c5 with the plan of blockading the passed pawn with the knight maneuver, knight to d1, allowing then knight to d4 because the bishop controls the square together with the knight, and then bringing the knight in here, and thereby blockading this pawn on d5. So the best way to deal with the passed pawn is to find a good way to blockade it, and this is what MVL decides to do here. The knight takes on c5, and now MVL proceeds with the maneuver of blockading the square and bringing the knight in here. Bishop d7, knight to d4, rook c8, knight to c3, and now black looks for some active options, g5. White just says, okay, if you want to exchange here, that's fine with me. And now, question number 5. What plan can white take here? White has reached the goal of blockading this pawn, but in a position like this, what would be a good plan for white here? Pause your video and find a good plan for white. Okay, in this position here, black has a protected passed pawn, so white does not want to exchange pieces on the one hand. And on the other hand, black has at the moment pretty bad coordination. So white needs to get some piece play and exploit the fact that his pieces are better coordinated, and the plan should be to activate those pieces to the maximum. And MVL does exactly that by playing knight to b5 after Anton Korobov also played an active move here, knight to b4. So the white knight tries to activate itself to the maximum by going to the weak square d6. And now question number 6. Black could simply stop this plan by taking here on b5. Why is this a bad idea? Pause your video and try to find the reason why this is a bad idea. Anton Korobov did not play this in the game. So why did he not play this? Why did he not try to prevent the knight from jumping on that square? Pause your video now. Okay, after knight takes b5, it becomes maybe clear why this was a bad idea. It was a bad idea because all of black's pieces now are badly placed and really badly coordinated. So let's have a look at this bishop here. This bishop here is blocked by the knight and also by those pawns here. It's very hard to bring this bishop to any active square. Let's have a look at this rook here. This rook is a hanging piece. It's not protected by any other piece, and therefore this rook here pins the knight against the rook. So the knight cannot move, and the rook is a hanging piece, so that is always a tactical motive. What about this knight here? This knight cannot go to this square, it cannot go to this square. All of those squares are controlled by white. If it goes to this square, it can just be taken by the bishop because this knight is at the moment pinned. So this knight here looks pretty active maybe at the first place, but actually it has no squares to go. And this rook here is also uncoordinated with any other piece, and other than attacking this knight here, it does not serve any purpose at this moment. So let's have a sample line here. The engine gives, for example, a3, and after b takes a, knight to a6. And black already has to play something like this so that this knight is protected and maybe the other pieces can be moved and activated. But it takes black time to do that, and the knight also moves not really to a better place here on a6. So white can make this pin stronger by doubling the rooks here on the c file. So white has a very straightforward plan. And now black moved this rook out of the pin, again losing time to do that. White doubles the rooks, and now this knight here finally can move. It's been moved out of the pin, can move to an active square. But the bad coordination of black's pieces becomes clear even after this move, because the bishop can go on an active square here and attack the rook. The rook is really badly placed. It cannot take this pawn because it's protected by the knight. It can only move to a4, and you can see how well all these pieces coordinate. This knight here is blocking the rook's way to attack the bishop. This knight here is protecting this pawn, coordinating with this bishop, and those pieces here are just very strong pieces. So you can see how well white's pieces coordinate and how bad black's pieces coordinate. Here, after they only move rook a4, white can continue to build pressure by pinning or by building the tactical motive of a discovered attack on the rook on a4. And white is clearly better here. So let's have a look at this position here. White aims to activate his knight by moving to the d6 square. And actually it's a bad idea for black to take it, because then all the pieces would be really badly coordinated. So that's why black really cannot stop white's plan to activate the pieces like this. Anton Korobov played g takes f here, g takes f, and rook to b8, taking the rook out of this potential pin. And the white knight jumps into the good square on d6. Question number 7. Why is it a bad idea if black played bishop takes d6 here? Because after all, this knight here is an active square, the bishop is not so active, so why not exchange those pieces here? Pause your video. Question number 7. Okay, this would be a bad idea because white can take here, and this pawn here is now actually a very strong pawn because it can potentially move down the rank, and it cannot really be attacked so easily. Let's have a look first at knight to b7, attacking the pawn. The problem with this move is, or in general, whenever this knight moves here, the problem is that the file for the rook gets open and the rook penetrates onto the 7th rank like this and attacks the bishop. If the bishop moves away, the pawn can push, and a lot of things are possible. So attacking the pawn with the knight is not a good idea. So what if black would attack the pawn with the rook? At this point, bishop e1 is very strong, threatening a3 to pin this knight. And the best move here is actually to move the knight here. or if the knight would move away, white would just be able to take the rook here. And after bishop e1, the best move probably is a3, b takes a takes bishop, and the rook takes a3. And this knight here is en prise. So bishop b6 is also not such a good idea. What about attacking like this? Same motive here. The rook penetrates onto the 7th rank. And the best move is probably the active move knight to d3. And here the line could continue a little bit like this. Again, the knight leaves the square c5 and the rook can penetrate. White gets little play here. Black gets little play here because white cannot take here. So the best here would be for white to take the bishop, which allows knight to h3 and a few knight maneuvers like this. But in the end, white gets a winning attack. So what's the motive here? Why can we conclude that taking with the bishop is not such a good idea? Basically, it's seeing the general motive of the rook being able to penetrate, the rook on c1 being able to penetrate in here, together with the bad coordination of the pieces, and then also just eliminating moves. So taking here and after retaking with the pawn allows black a few moves, and all of them are bad. So the motive here is to look at all the moves as well. Okay, so black played a3 instead, and white now has the strong knight here. B takes a, activating the knight, but this knight gets exchanged, and the rook, again, the motive was still there. The rook penetrates into the 7th rank. Knight takes, king takes, rook to b2, check, king g1, and black tries to get some active play here, but white simply moves the rook to f1, defending the square f2 and being ready for supporting an attack here. So in the game, black now played bishop to d8, attacking the rook, inviting the rook to take the bishop, and then playing bishop b6, pinning the knight on the king, and exchanging the knight like this. This is what happened in the game. But question number 8, in this position here, why, I mean, the bishop is attacked, but why not just move the bishop out of this attack on a square where the bishop is not attacked? And maybe leaving the bishop here on h5. Why is that not possible? Question number 8, find the tactical blow for white in this position. Okay, the tactical blow is f5. All black's pieces are scattered while all white's pieces are participating in the attack, and f5 wins for white. The threat, one threat is creating a weakness here on the back rank. Another threat is taking here with the knight. So, for example, if black would protect the back rank a little bit, then we would have this motive. And what can black do to stop this? Not much really, because after if not rook a8, what can black do to stop it? After takes, white has rook c8, king g7, only move, and taking this pawn with a check, and you can see that all the pieces are participating in the attack, and white just loses. The engine shows a mate in 5. Okay, so just moving the bishop away does not work technically. So in the game we had this exchange of pieces here, And now white played f5 and trying to play a little bit, not necessarily immediately winning, but playing the same sort of ideas that we have seen before, continuing the attack with f5. So question number 9. Black is facing a crossroad now. Black could either attack, gobble up these pawns, and then do an attack together with these pieces here. Or alternatively, black could defend. So question number 9, if black were to defend, what would be the best defensive move? Okay, the best defensive move would be rook to a7, offering an exchange of rooks and obviously protecting the weak f7, square. And if the rooks are exchanged, then white can take here, and attacking the pawn, but black has the resource of attacking this pawn like this, and the position is equal. Therefore, if white does not want to exchange the rooks, then black has the resource king to g7. By the way, after f6 check here, white has already to be very careful because the rook only needs 2 moves for a strong attack, whereas white needs 3 moves for a strong attack. And in this position here, black is actually already better. So white can try f takes e6, and after f takes e6, again the same motive, white is attacking this pawn, but here it's even a little bit better version than compared to what we've seen before. The bishop is immediately ready to take the pawn and the position is equalized again. So in this position here, good defending move, rook a7. At this crossroad here, however, Anton Korobov decided to attack. I mean, if you look at this position here, it might not look so dangerous. It might actually look like black gets to attack first, and this is what Korobov thought. So played rook takes e3, a3. And now question number 10. What is the winning move here for black? What is the winning move here for white? Okay, the winning move for white is f6. And we're gonna see why. First, white is now threatening a mate, so black has to move h5. After rook d8, king h7. Now black is threatening taking with the rook on a2, and then threatening to mate here. Question number 11. What is the defensive resource that white has in this position here? Okay, this is very instructive. The defensive resource that white have is the fact that the knight can get to the defense of h2 while gobbling up the pawn on f7, and giving a check on the way. So now, if rook takes a2, the knight can give a check and come in time for defending everything. And in this position here, black has a hard time attacking, and white has this really dangerous protected pass pawn and just a winning position. And this is also what happened in the game. So probably at the crossroad that we were facing here after f5, black should have probably played rook to a7, as we have seen, to defend. But the crossroad here, and this was really the decision that MVL put on Korobov, was to attack or to defend. And in this position here, it looks such a straightforward plan to give this attack, and it's very instructive to see that Korobov went for this, but in fact, after f6 and these forced moves here, Korobov did not see the defensive resource that white has with the knight. So what we can learn from this really is that in this position here, to calculate the forced sequence of f6 and check, and then the pawn has to move, and then the check with the rook, and the king moves up, cannot move to g7, has to be sitting on h7 to see that at this time there's this interim check which brings the knight in time for the defense to h2. This was what Korobov would have had to see in this position here. What we can learn is that we always calculate the forcing line and see where the king would end up, and then to see if the king would end up here, if there's a knight route that has an interim check, and then maybe allows us to defend. Very interesting motive. Okay, and this is what happened in the game. And in this position here, white is already totally winning. Bishop c5. So another instructive exercise though, question number 12. This rook here is a little bit bad. What maneuver can white use to activate this rook? Pause your video for question number 12. Okay, white can activate this rook with the following maneuver. Rook to h8, check. Only move is king to g6, and now rook to g8. Black only has two legal moves, king to f7 and king to f5. And in the game, black played king f7, rook to g7 check. And if we compare this to the situation we had before, we can see that white with this maneuver was able to activate the rook. And why was this possible? It was possible because in this position here, black could not move to f5. So question number 13, why could black not move to f5? What move does white have here? Okay, that was an easy one. White has the strong move f7 with all sort of motives. Black simply cannot move up here because not only because there's a discovered check with the knight in the position, but even more importantly, there is this pawn push here to f7. And this is strong enough that black cannot attack here in the meantime. Okay, so after activating the rook like this, NBA played rook h7, and after rook f2, rook g1. And now the last question for this video. There were really like a lot of interesting motives in this game. What is white threatening now? What is white threatening now in this position? So for example, if black now decided to push the pawn here, after all this is a protected passed pawn, what can white play now? Okay, there's a simple mate in 2, and the motive is rook h8, check, king to f7 only move, and mate. So when white played rook to g1, white was threatening that, and that might explain why black in this position here played rook to h2 check, knight takes h2, and white ends up with the piece up, because this was actually the best move for black to go into this line here. Rook to g2, white can just take the rook, and after check, white is even a rook up. Okay, very interesting and instructive game. MVA in the French defense played a very sharp line, allowing black to steamroll the pawns here on the queen side, and even castling here, inviting before. But then activating his pieces, getting a good piece play and very well coordinated pieces, and solving the problem of the passed pawn by a blockade, leaving him with very coordinated pieces, which he was able to exploit by the motive that this knight can go unhindered here to d6, because otherwise black's pieces would be so badly coordinated. And then even here the bishop cannot take the knight, so when black tries to activate the pieces here, it's too late. White is already penetrating the position, and up until the very end the black's pieces are uncoordinated. They are scattered all around the board, and white is able to exploit this, and then has the motive with the f5 attack and the interim check with the knight, which brings the knight from the attack to the defense, leaving white with the one position. And this nice maneuver of activating the rook, and then the mating attack, forcing black to settle for position with a piece down. Very interesting game. I hope you could learn a lot from it, and thanks a lot for watching.